Welcome back to Home Built by Howard. This week, we are going to fix all of the places in the body that we had to cut away so that the frame that we custom built could fit up into the body. If you're new here, this is my TR6 Restomod, where I'm taking all of the mechanicals and electronics out of a 2009 BMW 135 and stuffing it into a custom chassis and wrapping this body around it all. If you weren't here last episode, we got all the holes in the floor fixed up. It looked like somebody used a nail gun to hold the carpeting down. So there was a lot of holes to fix. There was a lot of grommets that we removed, as well as there was a bunch of rust. So that's all done. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It's really going to help my channel. I'm just a little channel, and I don't have sponsors. I don't have any fancy tools. I don't have a water jet cutter. I don't have a plasma cutter. I'm doing all this with hand tools and a TIG welder. I do have a pipe bender, but that's about the extent of it. It's real grassroots. Having said that, I'm paying for everything myself, which is cool. I planned on doing that anyways. But if you want to help support the channel, I sell these units called Hornetic. And the name's up there or up here. Not sure where I'm going to put it yet. I don't know where there's room. Let me make room. There's room up here for it. So Hornetic is a little electronic module that allows you to hook a second horn into your car so that you can tap the horn and use your OEM horn. But if you hold it for more than half a second, it'll fire a second horn as well. So in my car, I have an air horn as my second horn. So, tap, tap, hey, please move. Hold it down for half a second and I'm done asking. I'm telling you to move. So if you want to support me, pick up one of those units. I'll ship it out to you. Throw it in your car. Awesome. Anyways, let's get on with this repair stuff. Okay, so the stuff that I'm talking about is all this stuff here. You see where the frame comes through the body. And the reason I had to do that is because the BMW rear subframe needs extra space, and I needed to build an actual frame. So this here is where the springs sit. I still have to do the shocks in here, but I needed this extra space as well as this mount and this mount here so that I could mount it. But that meant cutting into the floor as well as the trunk of the Triumph. The other thing I needed to do is I needed to put these gussets in here to strengthen the frame, because the original frame was pretty much flat. This one had to come up and back again. And in doing that, I ended up with a right angle here. And that right angle is not very strong. Hit a good bump, get a lot of bounce this way, and that was going to fracture. So I had to do that. The other thing that I had to do is when we grafted in the BMW transmission tunnel, I had to cut away a bunch of it because the BMW seats are really wide. So we'll still have to cut away this for the track for the seats, but I'm going to have to replace what I cut away here so that it's sealed and I don't have water coming into the cabin. I'm keeping as much of the original transmission tunnel as I can, and I want to keep as much of the BMW transmission tunnel as I can because this is where the shifter goes, right? The column shifter. And I want to try and use as much of the plastic parts out of the BMW for interior. So what we'll end up having to do is seeing how much space we can actually tuck in without getting in the way of the the drive shaft. So the drive shaft easily is cleared by this tunnel, which is great. And we'll be able to bring that pretty much straight forward. And we may even get to thin this up a little bit more. But right now, we're going to focus on getting the back of this car buttoned up. So the best thing I think to do is going to be to start with these here. So I'm going to cut away that flap of metal that I've got coming up from the floor, and we're going to have to trim back some of the rear wheel well in order that we can get this to fit nicely. So let's get that trimmed away and then start making that piece. Well, that cut was less than ideal. Not exactly straight. Yeah, kind of regret that. Oh well, we'll just fix it. So, anyways, that's what we're up against. But they're cut. We've cleaned them up a bit so that we can start making some covers for these. Okay, so this piece is all bent up, and as you can see, I've got that little triangle in there that I've got to weld. So I have to get that welded together, and I'm going to get this corner welded as well. But you saw that I had the piece into place, and if you didn't notice, what I did was I put some spacers, and then I just taped a piece of metal to the spacer, so I got the right spacing, and I was able to put a magnet and hold it in place, which was really handy, because wood's not magnetic. Yeah, and then I trimmed this around so that it'll just fit nice and snug, and I knocked this piece out. I'll have to push it back in a little bit once I get started. So what I've decided I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to weld across the bottom first, then I'm going to push it in so that I can deform it into the top, and I'll tack the top, and then I'll tack my way around, and likely I'll end up tacking it from the back side here. I'll have to clean the paint off of there, but I'll do it from the back side because I don't want to do an inside edge. I'd rather do the outside corner for the initial tacking. I won't be able to do that here. I'll have to just tack it around on there. But yeah, so let's get this piece welded up, and then we'll keep going there. Okay, so I've made up this piece here, which is my cardboard template to go into the back part here. I'm kind of hoping that the exact opposite's going to do the other side. It should, because, I mean, they're mirror images. I also made up a passenger side version of this driver side version that I did before, which goes over top of this piece in here, like that. So that gets those pieces, and I also have a cardboard cutout for that piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these wooden templates, and again, the passenger side, the driver's side, and the passenger side are mirrored. This one I wasn't 100% sure of, so I just made a passenger side and a driver's side. This one I'm pretty sure is going to be exact. Yeah, so let's get those scratched into the sheet metal and cut out so that we can get everything tack welded up here. Then what we'll do is we'll do final fit up and finish before tacking it into the car. So let's work on that. Okay, so we got all these pieces made now. We got driver and passenger side for each of the 6 parts. And just as a reminder, they're going to go 1, 2, and then in the trunk 3 on both sides. And that will take care of all the parts, all the places where I cut away the body to make room for the rear part of the frame. I'm still going to have to do the trunk where I cut out the original trunk. That's another story. We'll get to that another time. So these are all welded now. I haven't cleaned them up yet, but I did okay job on them, I guess. They also, there's a bit of warping in it, of course, you know, it's to be expected with such thin material. But once I grind it down, I'll just put it into the shrinker and just bring that together, and they'll be fine. They'll be good enough for what I need them for. So there those are, and now it'll be a case of cleaning up the remainder of all of the gunk and paint and all the loose crap that's up against where we're going to weld. May need to get into some of these corners with my that sandblaster, you know, just to clean it out properly so I get a good weld. But yeah, that's next on the
Okay, so yeah, you want to wear one of these if you're sandblasting stuff. So hang on, I gotta flip you around here. Okay, I don't know if you can see the dust in the air, but you can sort of get an idea around the lights how much dust there is in the air. The floor is absolutely, I mean, just covered in sand. I had to sandblast the corners and all of the, the tight spots so that, I'd be able to weld. There was only so much I could reach with, holy crap, I'm talking with my mask on. How are you going to understand a word I'm saying? Yeah, super dusty. And I had to sandblast into the corners where I couldn't reach with the flap discs or the other discs. This car has some spots that, like right in here where there was tar. Like they put tar on it, and surprisingly, the sandblaster does not clear the tar away. So I'm going to take a chisel and just go over that. But other than that, everything is ready to, tack weld into place now with a little bit of cleanup. So let's clean up the garage because, this garnet, it's not wasted. What I've done is I'll sweep it all up and then I have just a strainer and I strain out all of the garbage out of it and reuse it. And, save myself a few bucks, everywhere I can. So let's clean that up. And then we have to actually do in here, the backside of where we're going to weld so that we we don't burn the paint off the back. Although, that's probably the easiest way to get rid of the old paint is just to burn it off from the other side while you're welding. But it does cause a lot of smell. So I might end up just doing that and open the door and have a fan on just because I'm over this sandblasting thing. Yeah, I've had enough of it. So let's clean up and get ready to weld. Oh, well. All right. So I got these tacked into place now. Yeah, just, as I say, just they're tacked right now. I use the MIG welder instead of the TIG welder to just get them into place as they are. Just made life a lot easier. So now that those are tacked into place, what are we going to do? Yeah. Let's think. Okay, so what I've decided, I have to still cut out this piece here to make room for the seat rail on the driver's side, and I need to remove this here so that I can cut out that for the passenger side as well. So let's take the cutoff wheel and let's cut that off and then see where we're going to go from there. Well, that is cut out now, and cut out these pieces here. So what I'll have to do is just extend the floor in and then up. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to drop the seats in so that I've got both seats in place, and then I'm going to grab way up there, I've got the center console. I'm going to grab that and put it into place with the seats in place. And, well, I'm going to try to do that. So, yeah, let's give that a shot. Okay, so I knew that this is going to be way too wide to go in here. This hole that goes down to the transmission, that's where the gear shift goes, and it matches up with this here, right?
And this area here is where the whatever that thing's called, the knob that controls the Navi system, etc. So my plan was always to cut this about here and around here and then across or something along these lines, something like that. Probably have to cut up here as well. I want to keep this with the original stuff. I want to keep this. And then this part, I was planning on, saving the part and taking this whole section here with the cup holder and shifting it just a little to the middle, right? Then I was going to take this here out and shift it back and to the center so that my my gear shift knob or my brake is back here, right? So that was always the plan there. But, as far as anything goes, the seats now go in. You remember from a number of episodes ago, I put in this heavy 2x3 cross brace, and that's right where the front seats bolt in, right here. So I'm going to be able to bolt directly in there. Now, it's interesting because the passenger seat, I don't know if you can see, has a little bit of room there. But when we come around to the driver's side, it's jammed right up. And I wonder, I don't know why or what the reason for that is, because this car is even, yeah, so I'm not 100% sure why the driver's seat won't move over, but the passenger seat will. As you can see, I've got space between the seats, but no space over here. Now, fortunately, this seat has this plastic thing here, so I don't give a shit. It's not going to hurt the leather. But I'm just wondering if I may need to still make that transmission tunnel a bit smaller and bring it down. The big problem is going to be, this in here, right, is having enough room here to, for I've marked out where the white is. That is kind of the rubber gasket that the gear knob has, and I can't move it forward because of the dashboard part there. So, yeah, we're still got to figure out why this seat is wider than the other seat. And, as I mentioned before, there has been talk about getting a set of bucket seats, and yeah, they're a little bit narrower, but not really. But then they have kind of a thing that tucks out here and it jams into this. It doesn't come up and over. It's like right into this thing. So, that's not gonna to go. I know I could try and, find some Miata seats or something like that, but come on. I've got, power BMW seats that go with the car, with the electronics. So, anyway, I don't know if you can see down in here, but I marked my line for my bolt, and it's almost perfect where it is. It's like pretty much centered where it's supposed to be. So, yeah, I'm just, gonna be maybe taking a few measurements. Oh, it seems like the passenger seat is pushed in at the front, and that's sort of giving it a bit of room at the back there. It looks, I don't know, it's like this seat's tilted this way. It might just be that the whole seat is tilted like this, and that it's because of the floor. So maybe if I shim this side up, does that look straight to you? I don't know, man. I'm going to get a laser level on that. Alrighty then. So
what I've done is I put a square up against the inner edge here, and it's right up against the front of the seat there. Now there's a little plastic piece right there that it's up against, which has got a bit of a space. So that's what this gap is. But this seat is now square, and there was a little tab on this extra. There's kind of an extra piece of metal you can see here. There's an extra piece of metal underneath the rail. And it's on the outside of that track. So I just trimmed that off, and I was able to move over another 1/8 of an inch. But between moving it over 1/8 of an inch, squaring the seat up, and tilting it properly, as you can see, I added a couple big washers under here, and there's like 3 of them at the back. Added almost a 1/4 inch worth of tilt. Now it's level as well, and we've got a nice gap in there, and it's hard to get this thing to focus when it's like that, but there's a nice gap in there that's going to be plenty for me to wrap some leather around this face. I'm not going crazy, but yeah, it's going to be, that'll be leather wrapped, so it'll be nice and thin, and I'm happy with that. So that basically means that the BMW seats will fit in nicely. When it comes to how, what's happening down here, as you can see, there's a bit of space. I left room because I have to actually be able to move this seat forward. I've got it in the furthest back position. Likely I'm going to be in that position with it just because I've got longer legs. Not disproportionate or anything, but anyway, tangent. So I do want to be able to have the seat move forward a bit, for in case I sell the car and, I sell it to someone who's shorter than me. But I'm pretty average. So, 5'10", 5'11", something like that. So the seat still has room to move forward. The other thing, I outlined this as the largest space, but as you can see, this has plenty of room to tuck in. If I lift this up, you can see how the rubber here sits in the hole, right? And the same with this front one. That's where it seals. That is the gasket, that double thing. So that is the gasket that keeps water from coming into the thing. So there's plenty of room for me, if need be, for me to trim this back even a little bit more. Now, there's going to be some issues when it comes to fitting this, obviously. This is nowhere near the seat over here. The seat's somewhere around here, and it tucks in tight. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to cut this up here and over. And I was planning on covering this in leather. I'm not a big fan of this rubbery plastic that they've got. So no matter what I do underneath, it's not a big deal. I can 3D print something, or I can have someone 3D print it, or I can just make it myself with a bit of fiberglass. It's going to get covered with leather. So no matter what the shape I remake this to be, if I cut it away, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm not going to do that now. I've got the driver's seat in place. We still have a lot of metal work to do, but what I'm thinking is, do I need to actually get that cut and put into place so that I can see where we're at for this and whether I need to cut this back? But I don't think I do. I really don't think I do. No, I think that's good. I think we can actually make those metal pieces that are going to go into place there. So I'm just going to fiddle around with the passenger seat a little bit more and just to level it up and square it up and see how that fits. So yeah, let me go do that. Right, so I did decide that I am going to cut this right now. So I've marked out my line here, and coming up, following that seam, then this piece here is actually, this insert is all separate to the front. Then I'm going to come along the crown of this and down that side. Now, this stuff's kind of interesting because, as you can see here, this here, it's heat welded to the top, and this whole, basically the whole back and the insert all the way to the back here with the tray at the back, the coffee cup holder, and the holder for the Navi system is just sort of spot welded into place, heat welded. And I'd imagine that's because this center console is used in multiple cars, and this center section here, one, it's a little harder to mold. It's got some mechanical parts in it. It's probably a different, so the likelihood is that insert, because of this knob, is different. So in the sense that some cars may have a second cup holder here instead of here because they don't have that Navi system in them. So, rather than have two full pieces that are different, they just do this insert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drill those out to release this whole centerpiece so that I will have this to use wherever I want it. Then I'll be able to cut away the parts I want. So let's do that. Okay, so I got these screw holes here lined up on both sides, but it's cramming into the passenger seat there. So this is going to have to be cut back even further. The driver's seat's good. I'm pretty happy with the way the driver's seat curves, but because this goes straight back, it cuts in. Now, let me go grab I've got the other part there. So let me go grab that, okay? And we'll come back. Okay, so you can see that there's this insert piece here has loads of room in it, for me to make some adjustments to it, to that particular part. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mark it out under here, and I'm going to cut away a bunch of this up to about here. Up to about here. I'm going to bring it up and around so that it kind of follows this line here. Okie dokie. So, that is about the best I'm going to be able to get that, just because of the way the wires work. There's some electronics in here. So, yeah, that's kind of where that's going to be. Again, I don't really have a lot of room to move this seat around. I may have to look at doing something interesting when I recover these seats. I may just do a little tuck in, right here, and do the same on this side. Like, I don't like the red. I've never liked a red interior on a car. Looks great on a pair of Doc Martens. Does not look good inside a car. So I'm going to be recovering these, which means that I can customize this bolster. So what I might do is just cut away a bunch of this bolster here, and then I'll do the same on this side, and then I'll have all the room I need to move forward. So, but other than that, this is now, it's screwed in. It's actually screwed into place. It's snapped in. That's the height it's going to be at, which means that I can now grab this piece. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It's gone. Do you guys remember where I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay. I can now take this piece here, if I don't break it first and have to go get another one.
I can take that piece and I can customize it to fit, where I want it, right? Like that. And, it may end up in the same spot, but the likelihood is it's going to have to be shifted a little, but I don't know. I'll mess with it and I know I'm going to have to cut the back off of this here. There's just no way that's going to fit. And I know that I want my brake back here. So I'm going to cut this off here so that I can get it down between the seats, and we'll see where it fits. Okay, so I got that cut apart there, and as you can see, it goes in like that. Now, it's kind of tilted this way at the back because of the way it sweeps. It's got a bit of a sweep here. So the parking brake I actually need to go right here anyways, like that, which is going to be absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away the back part of this off of this, which will allow this to turn this way and slot back into place exactly where it was before. So I'm really happy about that. I had to cut off the wings to get between the seats and the ones at the front because there's just no way to get them to mount. So I'll have to make a custom mount to that. I have these here, and I can't remember what they're for. I'm sure they're for something under the center console that is not here anymore. I'll check the other piece of the console because I have a feeling that those are part of a little bracket, the same as the front, that held it in place. So yeah, that actually screwed right to the old firewall, and yeah. All right. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Okay, so I trimmed a little bit of this this piece here off of here so that the part will fit, and then I had to trim a bit more of this off in order to get it to sit, but it is looking really good. I've got the space there, and fortunately I have two cables, and there's two holes already there with grommets going to the parking brake. What I did was took the parking brake and I cut that off and bent it and welded it at 90 degrees so I can make a standoff there to hold it at the right height. And then I'll do one at the back as well so that my cables will line up with the holes that are already there. And what I'm going to do is I have to decide when I'm sitting in the car whether, I want it further back, and away from this, or whether I'm happy to have it sort of over top where I can then rest my hand and, reach things. Haven't really decided yet. I'll hop in the car and do that. But this part is in place. There's room, there's space, and I'm happy with that. So, as you can see, they've cut away a fair bit down under here, right? And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So let's see what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I've just tucked the, let me zoom out for you here. I just tucked that into place there. So if you remember, that's where it goes. And I have the Navi system. And if you remember, the Navi used to sit up here, but there's just no way it's going in with the windshield. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mount it. I'm going to cut away this, and I'm going to mount it right where the venting used to be. So I'll be able to have the, let go. I'll be able to have the back edge of it up really close to the windshield. And then I'll be able to cut away a bunch of this and have it just sit down so that it kind of sits something like that, forward, but down there. I thought about, is there any way I could put it, just sit it like this, but it kind of looks goofy, right? There's a fair bit of just plastic there. There's the screen. I might, I could just take the screen out of this and mount it into place. There might be a way to do that, and I might consider doing that, just so that I don't have it, having to cut away more of this. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I just kind of wanted to pop this into place so that you could see how that's coming together with the original dashboard. What's left of it. It's been cut in half. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to take these seats back out now that I'm happy with it and fill those big ass holes that I've got in the transmission tunnel. Get those patched up, and then once I've done that, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do after that. I got to get the rear subframe in place before I can fix that piece, and I got to put the motor and front subframe in before I do the rest of this. But let's just patch that and we'll see where we're at. Now that I've got these seats pulled out, so what I'm going to do here is, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to put an end piece just as a flat cap here. So I have to make a curved piece that comes out to the width of this, and I'm going to bring it probably either straight down or on a very slight angle, just to give myself a bit of a flat to weld on. Then once I have that piece in place, I can then put some cardboard on this. Now, the seat rail sits right up in tight here, so whatever I do, it needs to come back to this point right here, then it can come out. So I'm going to have a bit of shrinking, stretching, bending, using whatever forms I can to get that shape on both sides. So let's make a cardboard template for that. Okay, got these cut out. There's a little bit of fine adjustment need to be done. I bent them up the best I could. The bottom corner of these are going to have to be pulled out. I could have put a crease in here. And it's on both sides. It's the same. I just don't have a brake that'll do that nicely. I just bent these over the edge of my workbench by hand, and use just a pair of pliers to, fine adjust it. But I'll be able to pull that out, not a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that these are both in the right place. I'm going to put a couple tacks into place just to hold them so that I can get this piece tacked into place properly, and then what I'll be able to do is pull that piece out and give it a tack on the end there. But other than that, both pieces are in place, and we're ready to go. I just noticed there's inside, you can see the little square corner that's in there. I may need to bend that back out of the way to get that just to sit down properly, but yeah, let's start welding. So as you can see, I've tacked these pieces into place. They're fairly heavy metal, which is great. So you saw me pushing down on this, and that's, is to get this seated properly, the floor seated, because it's got a bit of a bow in it. So, getting it down so that it's sitting flat on top of the frame, which I know is flat, just sort of helps keep things from rattling around and moving, and it'll save me trouble later, because when I go to weld the body of the car to the frame, I don't want gaps in there. So now at least I know it's sitting nice and tight. So next on the list of crap to check off, I'm gonna fix these pieces in here. So I have to bend up a piece for the floor, and then the side that'll go up, and tack those on both sides. I'm a little off with my measurements over here. So I'll have to just make a piece that's going to go in here. The other side, same thing, where it tucks down. It was just easier for me to do it this way. Well, didn't really think about it. But anyway, either way. So yeah, that's going to be the next thing, is to get two of those pieces into place. Well, we got all that tacked into place, and that actually looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. I used some fairly heavy material around here, and then used the lighter material down on the floor. Same, I knocked this into place and gave that a tack weld. And then on the other side, just take another look here. So as you can see, that's all in there nice, and I patched this. And then what I did was, at the front here, I had a piece that needed to be replaced here, so I did that. And then I started patching up in here, and I still have a little tiny hole there and a little hole over there. I got a couple of holes. This thing has got holes in it. So yeah, so that there's coming along pretty good. Well, let me say this about that. That was a lot of metal cutting and bending and welding, or spot welding anyways, to get into where we're at now. But that is all the time I've got this week. We got a lot of stuff done this episode. I'm really pleased with the way it's coming together. It's starting to feel like, okay, it's getting buttoned up. I can start to see the starting line. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this. Like, subscribe, and the bell notifications really helps the channel. Leave some comments or something. I really love to know what I'm doing right or wrong, what I could be doing better. Yeah, I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much, and see you next episode.